So I guess we first want to congratulate everyone again for being our CIC fellow. And today is to give you an update about where we are, and also to kind of tell you what you need to expect from the internship and everything you need to know for it, basically. Okay, so the agenda for today is first we're going to give you a status update about the companies and where we are with the companies, and also the timeline, so the projected timeline for the rest of the semester and the rest of the summer. And then we're going to go into more about the logistics of the fellowship and have you sign a commitment form. And then we're going to talk about communication. You all should have received our email about downloading WeChat. You probably all have WeChat anyway, but we're going to form a group on WeChat for that. And then we'll have some Q&A and then split off into groups. So we're going to have groups where you can talk with past fellows who are here. One only right now.
Kai is on the way. Lynn is also here.
Kai is there.
Kai is here.
Kai.
We're good.
If you want to hear about their past experience and their advice to you, and also you can talk with Noam and I about the status of your company. That.
So this should be very informal and useful session for you. So even though we have a presentation, just talk and ask questions and feel free. It shouldn't be anything too heavy. So you should use this. This is your time to ask questions and get all the information you need. Good. I'll start with a little video.
Go to S and sign
What do you think?
在以色列实习其实是一个非常适合中国学生的这么一个实习 in particular， 就是因为它这个文化，它和中国的文化工作文化是一个很大的区别。我的名字叫邓明凯，我现在是在哥伦比亚大学的哥伦比亚学院。
我叫刘欣然 Nicole， 我在哥伦比亚大学读大2，然后现在学的是 History。
我叫 Henry， 来自哥伦比亚学院，我现在是大1的学生，可能学计算机科学专业。
我叫杨顾国，我是哥伦比亚大学大3的学生，我学的专业是社会学。
我现在的公司叫做光启 GCI， 然后它其实是光启这家公司在以色列的一个海外投资部门。
我的公司叫 Enjoy， 它是一个专注于工业生产方面的一个做软件的一个公司。
之前做过有关 marketing 的一些实习，也做过关于 advertising 的实习。关于 journalism 这方面的经验还是比较少，所以这次想在以色列时报积攒一下这方面的经验。
因为我是做 tech 的，我以前就听说过以色列是一个非常注重 tech 的一个国家，以及以色列有好多 startup。我非常好奇为什么他们有如此少的人能做出这么多的tech startup， 有那么多的新技术每年都在产生。然后我想了解为什么能这样，所以我就特地选了一家做 tech 的公司，想学习一下他们的这个方式，学习一下他们的思维方式和工作方式。
就是在哥大有些朋友都是以色列人，然后就听他们把这个国家就吹得很高，然后觉得很有趣。不过确实来了之后发现是挺有趣的。然后刚好我是学 history major 的，所以就更加对这方面这边的文化和历史都有很多兴趣吧。然后我也很想下学期学这些方面的课，就觉得来到这边有更好的理解，对我自己的那种对这些文化的认知也会有帮助。
因为中国它现在有很多这样的投资人，他们有很多资金，他们想要去投资。 而以色列这边呢，他们根据第一有相关的技术，第二又有很多的人，他们愿意去实现他们这种想法。
我刚去的时候，他们很缺少一个会讲中文的这样的一个角色，去接触那些中国来的 investor。
工作其实是蛮自由的我们的编辑会给我发各种各样的活动也好，或者是以色列在进行的一些事件，然后我可以选择我感兴趣的一些事件，或者我感兴趣的一些活动去参加，然后他会给到我媒体手环。
之所以想做这个 program， 主要是为了帮助中国学生从这个亲身的这么一个融入这么一个沉浸的一个角度来体验中国和以色列的联系，还有以色列的很多文化。
就是以色列的给你很多你想不到的东西，其实以色列的很多东西是你只有来这里才能体会到的。
Good. I hope it made you motivated. Okay. So, some status update. You can turn it on. That's good. So we know not all of you have secured your internship yet, which is totally fine. Some of you are in the process of interviewing with several companies. Some of you are waiting for answers. So just know that we have 10 more days to finalize the company with which you're going to do the internship. So that would be April 15. And that's the last day to confirm back to the company. So as you hopefully feel, we do all the efforts we can to make sure everyone will find an internship. But that would be today a good opportunity, if some of you are still concerned, to come and talk with either Shendel or me and see what we can do to make sure that we meet this deadline for April 15th. So that's the first deadline. After this, you have May 15th. So until this date, you need to finalize visa, the internship date, your address, where you're going to stay. So you have a month after you finalize the company to make sure you know all of these details. We're going to talk about all of this today, so don't worry. We prefer you will start at the beginning of June. It doesn't have to be June 4th, but we want most of you to be either in Israel or in China to be there on June 4th. So because we're going to have like several events that we're going to be focused mid-June until mid-July probably. So that would be the preferable day to have most of you in Israel or China. And then next semester, I know it sounds far, please mark the date, September 6th. We're going to have like a welcome back event with all of you, and we're going to exchange stories and experiences. So please mark the date. It might change, but please mark it now. Good, and then as we said, if you're still concerned about your internship and you have any questions about this, please come talk with us today.
And these dates are all on the handout that we gave you. We have like a little checklist on there for everything you need to do.
So the handout is for you to use. This on this side is just what we're going to do today. So you can just write comments next to each point we're talking. And then on the other side, this is for your checklist. You can fill your own deadlines, except for the ones that are our deadlines that are already filled for you. Okay, so just work with this and write your comments and use it.
Museum event?
Museum event, right. Does anyone else want to talk about museum event? Right?
So tomorrow at 3 p.m., all of you and all of the board members are invited to go down to the China Institute. It's on 100 Washington Street, so it's in the financial district. We'll meet there at 2:50 or 2:50, 2:45, right outside the China Institute. Then we'll go inside together. We have personal tour guides. We'll split into two groups, and we'll go through the frames exhibition. It's Silum. Photographs, sorry. I've been living in the US for 8 years, but sometimes, I just blank. There's a photograph exhibition. We'll go through it in two groups alone, then we'll reconvene together. We'll drink some champagne and have some refreshments, and then we'll have a talk by the head of the China Institute. I sent did I send the bio to everyone?
No.
Yeah, no?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll have a Q&A session right after. So this will be like a formal, fun reception for all of us to like get to know one another, because you guys will be joining our team next year, and this is a way to kick off the fellowship program.
So today is all like the logistics, details, date, heavy questions. Tomorrow is only fun, so just come and enjoy. And we have another event coming up.
Yes, so next Thursday we're going to have the first lecture event of our fellowship. It's going to be an open one. There are going to be other people coming as well, but I think it's a great event, and every fellow who is ever going to go to this program actually should participate. It's actually really good. We invited somebody who used to be the general manager of SoftBank Venture Capital, Ran Yin, 中国风投. And he is going to come and talk about investment in Israel, how his company has been doing, and what are the key trends and key players. And it's going to be very interesting and going to be very relevant to your summer internship and stay in Israel.
If you haven't liked us on Facebook yet, please do. We're going to have event, like this event is going to be there, all the events are going to be there, so please do. Questions until here? We're good?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so each of you has to have travel insurance. This is pretty obvious, but we do want to mention it. If you have like any Colombia/Barnard plan, you're supposed to be covered for international travel, but you do need to fill out this register as international travel. If you've seen the shared file we shared with you at the beginning of the week, you have our link. If you haven't done it, please register this as a travel. So Colombia will know that you're there, and it will like activate your insurance there or something. Everyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about?
Also be aware that after you register in international travel, there's an option that if you're stuck somewhere in like say in a crossfire, then you can basically contact Colombia and they are responsible for getting you out of there. But if you don't register and you get caught in a crossfire, Colombia has no obligation to bring you out of there. So please register.
Don't get caught in a crossfire. So.
And highly unlikely. Let's just.
Yes. So let's start from. I'm just breaking down for Jack. So at the beginning of the week, I think it was Monday, we sent an email with links to a long shared document with many details about logistics and preparations for. Okay, so the first section there talks about travel insurance, and then it says if you have insurance, Colombia insurance plan, you're good. You just need to register as international travel, and there is a link there that you need to click. It's like 4 steps, not the most efficient system I've seen, but it's pretty straightforward. You do need to do it. It's your responsibility to do it. It's ensure your coverage from Colombia perspective. Please do that. And we're gonna share this presentation with you, so you don't need to like write what's there. Just write whatever you want to take from this. If you don't have Colombia insurance, you do need to check the details. Make sure you're covered for like international travel, and make sure you have like emergency and just normal insurance need, medical health need.
Does anyone in the room not have Colombia insurance?
Great. This is just some photos to get me motivated. Helene is still here. Where is Helene?
She had to leave.
Oh, she had to leave. Okay.
Okay, so in terms of logistics, we want to clarify a couple things, which is that flight coordination, airport transportation, and finding accommodation is all your responsibility to do. But you should take this opportunity at this orientation to either talk to past fellows and see how they managed it, or also team up with fellows and like find accommodation together. Also talk to the Israelis here and they'll tell you how to get accommodation in like Tel Aviv.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about like the general sources, but if you want like specific things that are important for you, that's the opportunity to talk.
Yeah, and for accommodation, the general stuff is on the shared file that we gave you. But yeah, you should definitely take this opportunity to get more information.
Emergency contacts. So we're gonna have several emergency contacts type. There are the general, emergency numbers in each country, which is on the file. But besides this, we're gonna share with you a list of the board members that are going to be in Israel and in China at each weeks. So we're like taking shifts in staying your contact there. So you're gonna have this, and you're gonna have our phone numbers there, and you should feel free to call us, not only in emergency. So we are your contact based on those dates, and just contact us.
We would also love to take you out in the city. We did it last year, it was great, so feel free to contact the people that are there at the time.
Immunization is only here so you know that there is no anything to know about immunization. Like there are no special requirements, not for Israel, I think not for China as well. So, and the commitment form. Should we sign it now? Yeah. So this is the general logistics part. We're gonna share this form that you're asked to sign it and give it back to us. And then we're gonna continue with some more specific logistics.
So we ask that everyone just read through it. If you have any questions about it, ask us now.
Did everyone sign the
Sign up.
sign up? No?
Yeah, you didn't? If you do know of any exceptions you have, we already talked with some of you about exceptions. You can fill it there and have it signed by us. Oh, yeah. I know. So you're Lorraine?
Yeah.
No, because I feel like I know you.
Yeah, I've been sending a lot of spam.
Good, good. No, it's not spam. It's good. It's good. I like those that are like
you guys.
No, that's good.
Like, I think one of my companies was sent, but then I didn't really
Company A.
yeah. So I was like, once, and then
But you're still waiting for
yeah, but I don't think like they have. I don't think it's happened. And I was wondering if they like.
No, I didn't even tell you that it's gonna be
Okay, I know you're not. But I think it's, I mean, aren't there interviews? Thank you for shooting.
Whenever. You know that you'll contact us.
Any questions about anything?
And I think the last one was
Sign?
right. Or is that the
Sign, good.
small, and it was a bit bigger, but it's just super small, and they're also connected to each other. Like, they're but I mean, we'll talk more about that later. So everyone's clear about the commitment form? No questions? Okay, WeChat. So we're gonna form a group.
We're continuing.
WeChat is gonna be our main form of communication with everyone. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna form a group that's gonna have all of the fellows, which you did.
You will do now.
Which we'll do now, and everyone will scan into the group.
And we're also gonna have a WhatsApp group, which we haven't asked you to download. We don't need to do it now, but just know that it's gonna happen. Which is Israeli WeChat, but less sophisticated.
So in in total, we're going to have 3 WeChat groups. The first one is just going to be with all fellows for you guys to kind of share updates about your experience. And then we'll have one for everyone going to Israel and another for everyone going to China, so that you kind of get to know the people that you're going with, if you don't already know them. So, everyone open WeChat. Let's do this now.
Yeah, we're gonna do it now.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know how. You can download with WhatsApp if you have time at home. And you're going to Israel. You're going to need it anyway. Yep.
I think for WhatsApp it might be there for השאלה אם הם פשוט מספר הולכים, כי הם סוגרים אינטרנט, סתם kind of עדיף שהם עושים את זה בארץ. כי במתחת בוויצ'טר על אותו עיקרון בדיוק. מה אתם מציעים להם? אתם מציעים להם גם לשים כאילו בארץ? זה ההצעה שאנחנו מציעים להם
No, I have the groups. תשובה לא טובה.
Everyone scan the code. Anyone's not on the group?
We have 17 people. Okay.
Okay, does anyone have any general questions before we split off into groups?
Yeah. Yeah.
To build a model on decision making. What that means?
Okay, any more general questions before we go and talk a lot about Israel? I'll take it as a no. Good. So we're going to review many of the stuff that are on the shared document. I'm going to assume you either read it or going to read it this weekend. And hopefully I could add more information or just like say the highlights of this. May. Are you listening there? I'm just working on memorizing the names. Okay, good. So the first thing on the list is the first thing you need to start to take care of is your visa. You do need a visa to Israel. The type of visa you need is B1. This is like a visitor visa, similar to the US. It's all in the shared folder, the shared document. The process is that you have this application form, very straightforward form. It has a lot of Hebrew in it, so don't get scared. It's just Hebrew and English, so just ignore the Hebrew. You need to fill there, the regular stuff, your names and details, and then you need to print this form after paying a fee of $26 and go with this form physically to the Israeli consulate in New York, which is 42nd Street and the 2nd Avenue, so really close. And then they have like regular office like receptions hour. You just need to go there in the morning. Please prepare. It will take like an hour or two. I don't know, maybe there's a line. And then it's supposed to take up to 10 days to get your passport back with the visa. Sometimes it takes longer, do it in advance. If you have any problems, let us know. We will send you soon a letter like about the program with the background that you can bring with you, although it's not like a must form, it's just to add to your story. Questions about the visa? The deadline for the visa, along with all the other important logistics, is obviously May 15, which is like the end of the semester, and you can already start traveling. But you do need to get the visa back by May 15. So it's a little bit more than a month, it should be fine. Please go ahead and start doing it. You do need your flight dates to be filled on the form. If it changes a little bit, I don't think it's crucial, but you need to know pretty much when are you going to go. And they ask you on the form, like, plan the date of travel, plan date of departure. Okay? Questions about the visa?
How long does it take for the process?
10 days. It says 10 days. Could be so I'll tell you, how do you say curious in English? I'll tell you a little story.
Describe it.
I'll tell you a story. An anecdote. So last year, we had the same situation. We just had a strike for the entire month of April and May in the Israeli consulate. So we had our fellows like traveling to DC and Philly and like other consulate trying to get a visa. I think this issue that the strike was about is now solved, but there might be a new strike because this is how things are. So just don't take your time with the visa. That's now the consulate is working. I know today it worked. So don't take your time with the visa and start taking care of this. You have everything on the shared file, and if you have any questions, you know how to find us. Good. Next. Housing. Anyone? Israelis want to talk about how to get housing? I can talk about that. I'm talking a lot. Okay, I'll talk. You want to talk?
I see the options here. I think Airbnb is the easiest, and I don't know if the cheapest, but it's the easiest and most convenient with rooms and locations. There are a lot of Facebook groups for sublet. Most of the posts will be in Hebrew, probably, so you can either Facebook translate it, which will be okay, or talk to one of the Israelis here, and we'll gladly help you find an apartment.
Usually the posting on Facebook require you to sign these for these half a year. So it's not viable for some reason.
I had a good tip. A group called Secret Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Secret Tel Aviv is a
that one doesn't work. I basically looked all over it. And
you need to post something. You just need to post, hey, I'm looking for a sublet, those dates. I guarantee you will find something.
Yeah.
Someone will offer you something.
A lot of people just go travel for a month, 2 months, and they don't want to pay rent while they're traveling, so they'll give you the apartment. It might not be 100% legal, but you'll pay, you'll have an apartment, it'll be okay.
Like subletting, you know.
Yeah, something.
Like Airbnb is still recommended for its traceability and accountability. and also, do not believe what the posting says. I mean, with regard to how many people can it house. So when an apartment says it can house 5 people, don't believe it can house 5 people for 2 months,
so
because that usually means that it can have a maximum of 5 people who can stay in there, but it doesn't mean it can allow 5 people to stay there for 2 months and be comfortable.
So I would translate what Guy says to Israelis. It's like Israelis don't have high standards with how they spend their like summer. Young Israelis, so they're fine with sleeping on the couch and sleeping on the floor and like you know. So just take this into consideration. See the photos.
I'm not talking about like standards of living. I'm just talking about like maybe sometimes when people want to stay for 1 or 2 days, it's fine. But when it's 2 months, it's a little.
I think the most important is check the beds. I mean, if it has 2 queen size beds, it might be 4 for some people, but 2 for other people. It's your consideration, how you prefer living. So check the beds for regarding how many people could live in the apartments.
So do always check with your host, like for the on Airbnb about like what his recommendation for the number of people to stay here and how many beds does it really have.
I also want to suggest, I'm not sure for how long you're coming or what like your expectations you want to
At
be
least 6
together
weeks.
or apartments. But there are a few like new youth hostels in Tel Aviv which are very cool and they shouldn't be so expensive per night. Maybe it's the same like as an apartment. So we'll be happy like to give you the names.
This is a good suggestion.
This
Also,
of
if you find
interest
like
for you.
if you find an
Because
Airbnb that
right.
starts a week after you come,
Or like you
week
can
before,
take
like-
a room in a hostel, a few people together, or shared, I don't know. It can be very chill.
Is this enough for you to start? Do you need more information? Do you have any questions? So Facebook groups, Airbnb, hostels, and talk with Israelis, us. You're gonna know us better, so talk with us.
Yeah, you can post in the group chat that we just made if you have any problems, it will help you.
Great.
It's recommended that before you close your, well, first of all, it's recommended for you guys to live in Tel Aviv.
Oh,
It's a big recommendation as a native. Don't go elsewhere. Number 2 is once you've figured out a few options of where to live within the city, run them by me. So I will look at the address and make sure the neighborhood is safe and it's like fine to be there at night. I know the city well and I'd rather you be in comfortable areas within the city. So run the addresses by me.
Roy is the Tel Aviv expert. You should talk with him about locations.
Something about people.
Any more questions about housing? Good.
That
So
sounds
for the phone plan, generally it works a bit differently than the US. Mainly it's much more cheaper, much cheaper. And we are considering maybe to organize like a concentrated purchase of SIM cards that you can receive here before you depart. So I want to know if, like, so one option is that we will do this for you and you'll get here a SIM and you will have it with you before you even go to Israel. Another option is that you like do it anywhere when you travel. You just get there and you go to like a supplier and you buy like a temporary SIM. I need to know how many of you would be interested in taking the SIM from here, so I'll know if it's worth like talking with a supplier.
Yeah, if you don't mind raising your hands right now,
Yeah.
it would simplify things.
I see like 5, 6, 7, okay. We'll check the options and the prices. Anyone has a clue about how much it should cost? Like, not the SIM from here, like temporary SIM when you go to Israel and you buy a SIM for like
It's very cheap.
and it's prepaid, like, so you don't.
Yeah.
Nicole, any insights on this?
Wait, wasn't it like 20 shekels per month?
No, that's the plan you get over there, but not the plan you get.
Yeah, no, the plan you get over there, it's 20 shekel for months, it's like $5 for, right? Pretty cheap,
Yeah, it's very cheap.
okay? So when you like plan your expenses, this should be your least concern.
And if any case, don't buy SIM cards from the airport.
Right.
They are pretty expensive, overpriced, and you're gonna get ripped off.
Right. Good point. Currency, shekel, exchange rate. You can exchange here to have at least like 300 shekels, which is like
About $100.
about $100 that we recommend you would bring in cash from here, just in case you're stuck in the middle of the night in the airport or something. That should be more than enough. But basically, we recommend just to go to Tel Aviv and the central places and exchange money there. Any specific recommendations for this? Anyone? Yeah.
I think it is best to exchange money when you're there. If you come with cash and you need to exchange, at exchange places and not at banks, because the banks charge a relatively high fee.
Oh, I thought bank charges a better fee than most exchange.
Better fee for them.
Better fee for them, not in Israel.
Depends, I guess. So, for example, don't exchange in
what?
Jerusalem,
Exchange rate.
which is going to be more expensive than you do
Right,
in
so
Tel Aviv.
the more
It
central.
depends where you actually do it in the city.
Right.
So I wouldn't go to the busiest and most crowded and
The most
place
touristic central place
Yeah.
is expensive, like anywhere else.
because you get a worse rate. Just go to a normal. It will have a huge sign with like LEDs, like light. You'll find many places. Don't
Let's
worry.
keep close.
Good. Apps. So we have a list of apps that we recommended you will download. Everyone saw it? List of apps for Israel?
It didn't change.
No, I'm opening it to another. Do you think I should open it? I can open it there. But I don't know how to. use this thing. Any questions meanwhile? You're supposed to leave this room today in like half an hour, I hope, with everything you need to know, like in case you're going tomorrow to Israel. So please use this time to ask questions.
One point maybe I want to add about security checks in Israel. So, yeah, sure. So even when you're going to get the Israeli visa, or if you're ever going to take a plane that's going into or out of Israel, you're going to run through a very thorough security check. I mean, thorough.
Okay, let's continue talking about it in a few minutes when we get to the living tips, because
that's not living. That's actually at the visa part.
Okay, so starting in the visa.
Yeah. So for example, when you're going to the Israeli consulate, before you ever go in addition to the usual run back through the X-ray machine, they're going to take your passport and then ask you a bunch of questions, and they're especially trained to detect any sense where you're not sure about yourself, things like that. But I don't mean that kind of way. But I mean, they're going to ask you like why you're going to Israel, and if you're going to say you're with friends, they'll say, well, what's your friend's name, things like that. They're going to get into the details to test whether you are faking things up. But in general, like, Chinese are fairly welcoming Israel, at least to my experience. And then you should generally be fine. Just be truthful and then stay cool. Always. Even if you feel nervous, try to appear that you are just cool. That you're not nervous. It's just in the case of the security check. So they're doing this really for security, and then do you understand that this is part of the process? So don't be surprised when this sort of questioning will happen. But be calm. Like, they're not trying to rip you over.
Okay, let's talk about apps for a sec. So we have WhatsApp. We talked about it. This is like Israeli WeChat. Unlike WeChat, I think. WhatsApp is used for everything, including work. So you should expect that we're going to talk about work culture a lot, but you should expect that your boss, like in the internship, will write you in the WhatsApp in the middle of the night, like, what about this document you didn't send, or things like that. So WhatsApp is like for all types of conversations, all the time. I know how it is with WeChat. So that's WhatsApp. And then there is this, what?
One thing about WhatsApp, for those of you who do not use it regularly, just be aware that the entire concept of being online and someone can read your message and things like that is there. So when you interact with your peers or your superiors at work, be mindful that this is a component of your communication, so you don't insult anyone or anything like that.
Like, they will know if you read the message, they will see that you're online.
Before you start, take it off.
Yeah.
No, really, take it off. So if they won't see if you read the message, if they don't see if you're online or not, just it's for your own convenience.
But then you can't see if others are online.
Yeah, but who cares?
Good. Any of the young people here knows about Kulu? It's like a payment app, and we can pay with like in restaurants with your credit card. So you can download this. Meetup is like everywhere else. Duolingo is just another language app that you can start learning Hebrew, just like the basic Arabic Sababa words. Not too much.
I don't think Sababa was mentioned on Duolingo.
I'm sure Sababa is on Duolingo.
You sure?
Sure.
For 100%.
500%.
Good. So movies is just a bus, like tracking the bus when it's come, when it goes, all of this. So start. My recommendation is just to download them now and start looking at them and start learning them, so you'll feel comfortable when you have it in Israel, like use it freely.
Movit works also in New York, but in New York you should use like Google Maps. In Israel you use Movit. It works better than Google Maps.
They're more accurate in terms of when the bus comes.
Exactly.
There are two things that differ significantly between Israel and China. In China, public transportation is amazing, and in Israel it sucks. So Movit can really help you get around. It's mainly buses and like these small 10-people buses that run through Tel Aviv and in between cities. We don't have a subway, or we have trains, but they basically suck. Another thing that is very different is that in China you're used to paying everything on WeChat, in Israel, cash is huge. So it's a cash-run society.
You can still pay with credit.
That's
card.
right, but you can't pay with your phone. It's
Not in
very
taxis.
rare, and not in taxis. In taxis, you need cash. So it's it's basically a cash-run society. So you should know that.
Sandra, what do you do?
We haven't talked about transportation yet. This was just apps. Any questions about apps? Any recommended apps we missed that you Israelis want to add to them? Did you use anything else last year? Oh, no? Good. Okay. So next one is what to pack. It's very hot.
Sorry,
Very-
did you mention Get?
I don't know, I think it's on the list. Get is another useful app for taxis.
But
We only like Uber.
there's no Uber in Israel, so download Get. It's very useful. It's very cheap in comparison to Uber, and you can like use it and go everywhere. So it's not like Uber drivers; it's just taxis that use like a platform in order to get it, and then you can pay with a credit card. Even international credit card is good. So,
No Uber.
No Uber.
Only Get. So next one is what to pack. Pack lightly. Both in terms of the weather and also in terms of like formal attire. Is this how you say attire? Yeah, you don't need more than one button shirt.
Depending on what you do though. 'Cause
Okay,
I actually wore that like almost every day.
Okay, right. Unless your internship requires this, like Nicole was meeting all those important people all the time. Most of you will work like in a shared office with a lot of tired people in flip-flops and sleeveless shirts. So, any questions about what to pack? Do you have any questions about like what to wear, what to bring? Good.
Just one thing,
Yeah.
if you are not sure about the dress culture in the place that you're going to work at, feel free to contact your companies and ask them, so how should I
What the dress
wear?
code?
Yeah, what's
What
the
to expect? Don't be overdressed because it's funny. Henry, do you want to add something for this? I think your company was very representative.
Really? I mean, I work at a tech startup and it was super casual. There's people just not wearing anything to work. not wearing anything, any shirt to work. It's like, there's all kinds of people at work. So it's all work.
But we're still startup nation, it doesn't mean anything.
Good, next point, words you need to know. So, do you want to do it now? Are you open for this? It's not on your dog. So, now that you have a dog, it's not on your dog. Thank you. Who wants to help me with this, Israelis? Thank you. Almost Israeli. All right. And we have this black marker somewhere. Thank you. Good. So, what words you need to know?
Sababa.
Sababa.
Now Shendel can learn Hebrew.
Shendel already knows enough. Yes. What is sababa?
All good.
All good. But when do you say sababa?
All the time.
What are the questions that sababa are the answers for?
Tonight, 7 p.m. we're going to this place.
Sababa.
What else?
How are you? Sababa, exactly. Can I see this for a second?
This is not how you write sababa?
Oh.
Okay.
Right, see.
What another word in Hebrew that you need to know? Okay, what are the important words in English that you want to know how to say in Hebrew?
Thank you.
Thank you. You're so polite. You don't really need to say polite.
We don't have a word for that, unfortunately.
Okay, so this is toda. Toda.
I don't think I heard that even once.
You don't really have to use it unless someone like saved your life or something, and then you can say it. I mean, you can use it all the time, but it's not like in English you say thank you so much all the time. It's just weird. Please.
We're going to test my character.
Toda. Let's practice.
Is that right?
Wow. You can do the English, the Hebrew also. What other words are important to you to know? Hi is hi. So like hi is hi.
Shalom. Shalom.
But you don't say shalom. You don't need to know shalom.
Of course you do.
Maybe like in peace.
It also means peace, but yeah.
You want to make peace
One would not answer the phone saying shalom if he's under the age of 60.
Right. So shalom is like hello, and hi is like hi.
Okay.
Okay, so like shalom is like a bit more formal. It's like hello, and hi is hi.
Next.
Next. You throw out words. Come on, let's do it
After you
together.
say toda, you say you're welcome. So we say be,
Oh, that's a hard one.
but it's important, no?
Yeah, of course.
Be, va, ka, it's a K, sha.
Okay,
And it's
and
also
No A
right,
in
and it's
there.
also please. So that's an interesting part. Right. So okay, in general, English, like Hebrew has much less words than English. So every word has a couple of meanings in Hebrew, but don't freak out, it's easy to get. So bevakasha is what you say like you're welcome, like when someone says toda to you, you say bevakasha. But also when you ask something, like can I have it bevakasha? You should say like yes. And then I would say
Or no.
And then you should say, okay, let's I'll do it again. Can I have this, bevakasha?
Can.
So he said yes. No, I'm saying toda because he let me have it. And then what do you say? Bevakasha. So I said bevakasha when I asked it, and then he said bevakasha after I said toda. Let's do it again. Can I have this, bevakasha?
Can.
Toda.
Bevakasha.
Okay?
Bevakasha means like it's please.
Yeah. Like please, but then it's also you're welcome.
Exactly.
No.
Like only if it's better it's the same in any other language. Like if you're very nice or not that nice. Toda. Yes. Toda, and toda. It's all the same. So Minkai answered can and lo. So can is yes and lo is no.
Would you say yes is sure?
So can and lo. This is smiley face, this is sad face. This is universal language. Good, what other words you want to know?
Yalla.
Yalla. So
Also-
yalla, it's
Yalla
like,
is-
let's go.
Let's go.
Like,
Come on.
shall we?
Come on.
Yeah, all of these are yalla. Do you have a Chinese for this? So in what is the occasions we'll say yalla?
Let's go to the party, and then you say no, and then he'll say yalla. Don't be
Yalla,
lazy.
come on. But you can also say,
Yes, yalla, and then you go sababa.
you can also say, let's go to the party, and you can answer yalla.
Yalla.
Yalla, let's go. Okay, any more words? What else you want to know?
Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry, you could say sorry in English, I think. No?
Toba.
Maybe Shabbat Shalom.
Eitan.
No, I want like the
Salam
useful
zeh,
words,
zeh,
like
zeh,
words we
zeh,
use all the time.
That's a good way to close your email on the weekend.
What, Shabbat Shalom?
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Ma.
Shabbat Shalom.
Raga, lamanu.
What?
Lamanu. Lamanu.
Yalla. Yalla. Maybe I should say that yalla is like a bit,
Slangy.
yeah, like you cannot tell your boss like yalla.
Yeah.
Like, this is like too pushy, even for me. Okay, Shabbat Shalom.
Peaceful.
No. Shabbat Shalom is like,
Now let's start with the second word. You already know that one.
right, Shalom. What is Shalom?
What does it mean?
Hello, but it's also peace, right?
Correct.
So Shabbat, and Shabbat is like Saturday. It's the holy day for Jewish in Israel and Jewish everywhere. So Shabbat Shalom is like have a peaceful Shabbat, have a peaceful Saturday.
It's like, yeah.
And that's what
Saturday.
it's Saturday. What did you say? You've been here too long. So this is like have a peaceful Saturday, and that's what you say like starting Friday morning, basically. So like starting Friday morning, you can say like Shabbat Shalom.
What about sorry? Do you say sorry?
We say sorry in English.
No, slicha.
We don't say slicha. Have you ever said slicha in the last year?
I don't say sorry.
You don't say sorry?
No, I'm not.
Oh, like in general.
No, I'm not.
As a principal, no sorry. Nothing. Zero regret.
Slicha is sorry.
Yeah, slicha. Yeah, it's different. Slicha.
But it's sorry and excuse me. It's
Right.
both.
Yeah.
Sorry and excuse me and like if you want, like if I wanna pass here, I would say slicha, and then I would pass. Okay, let's do it again. Slicha.
You can also hit and then say
And I can also say slicha. Okay.
Very genuine. You just hit the guy.
So when guy said ma, ma is like what? Ma. It sounds like Chinese, no? Ma. What else?
I love you.
I love you, Henry. That's one of the difficult ones.
Yeah.
Go for it, Lord.
Because Israel conjugates female and male in everything. In the verb, in the noun, Israel, Hebrew. Oh my God. So it depends on, since the majority of you are girls, we're going to do the girl version.
But the girl version that says to some, oh, Ani, okay. Wow.
Well, the girl version who's...
So I could say to Eitan, Ani, Ohevet, Otcha. Those are three words. This is I love you. Ani is I. Ani. Ani. Ani is I. Ohevet.
Ohevet is for females.
It's like a female loves.
Something.
It's female love.
Otcha, it's like you. Otcha.
For you boy, for a guy.
You, yeah. I female love you guy.
So romantic. Oh my God.
Okay.
Anything else we need to know?
What else you want to know?
Kyle.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Me'amem.
Me'amem.
Madim.
Madim.
Amalia, what is more useful, me'amem or madim?
Yes.
Me'amem.
Esh.
Wait, so let's do both. Okay. So, amazing or like gorgeous, to be more specifically, is me'amem. No, don't confuse with madim. Me'amem.
I don't know how to
So,
translate.
me'amem, gorgeous. Me'amem is gorgeous. Like, God, you're so me'amem. Or
you
like,
can also-
this place is me'amem.
It's like May.
It's for everything. It's like gorgeous.
Things,
Things,
human beings.
Things.
But it's not the same for male and female.
Oh, right. So
Yeah.
if you're talking for,
This is for male.
woman, you would say me'amemet.
Yeah.
So me'amem and me'amemet. Like Amalia, you're so me'amemet. Gal, you're so me'amem. Nicole, you're so me'amemet.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay, what else? Is this too much? Let's start here and we can do it again sometimes.
Anything specific you want to know in Hebrew?
Delicious food.
Me'amem, you can say for
Ta'im.
food. This food is me'amem.
Should we talk about like dishes that are...
Nah.
We're gonna talk a lot about food soon.
Delicious is ta'im.
Shay, you have to file. Ta'im.
It's like this. Ta'im.
Ta'im.
Like a dash.
Ta'im is, yeah, tastes good. Delicious.
Tasty.
Tasty. Anything else? Let's say, Jack, tell me. Tell me. Thank you. Great. And what's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine. Tell me. You're welcome.
Flip the board, yeah.
It's the first time. We're gonna try it again. Tell me like you're welcome. I said toda. What do you answer?
Bella Shika.
Bevakasha. Good, no, it's good if we're practicing. Lorraine, tell me.
We have a question.
Yeah.
How do you say I want to go to the bathroom?
Good one, yeah.
Shavutim.
Yeah, just show it to him.
Yeah.
Show it's just bathroom.
And if you say Shavutim bevakasha, it's like restroom, please.
Yes.
Oh, so you don't need to ask them, you just like say. Like,
For you, it's
For
fine.
you, it's fine.
They'll get it.
You can also do Fentobima.
The winner of this contest wins a falafel. So
Who says
say hi.
Who says Shahutu?
Let's take a vote. Shavutim.
Share.
Who says
Sha.
Shahutu?
What?
Shavutim, שנייה.
Shahutu.
מי אמר שירותים?
רוי, שירותים.
Okay.
שירותים זה channels, זה לא שירותים.
Okay, we're good. Anything else?
It's the same word.
So Lauren, you wanna, I'm gonna tell you.
אבל יש כאילו הגיה לא שונה.
I'm saying to Lauren, let's go to a party tonight. What do you answer? Yalla. Great. And then Sophia, I'm saying let's go to a party tonight. What are your answer that it's not Yalla?
no.
No, I don't want to go. That's okay. I'm insulted.
No.
You can also say sababa.
Oh.
If you don't know what's the answer is always sababa. Okay?
Sababa is a joker. You can use it anywhere.
Yeah, it's a joker. Okay, so just, I think we're good for now, right? Just for general knowledge, sababa and yalla, which are the most used words in Hebrew, are actually Arabic. And that already says a lot about, like, you know, the region and the neighborhood. But these are the most used words in Hebrew. Okay, sababa and yalla, for young people. Good.
Okay.
That was our Hebrew class for today. You can do it again sometimes. Where are we? Any questions about anything now that we lighten up the atmosphere a bit? So that was words you need to know. And now we are in prep materials and other sources. So you have a bunch of links here, prep materials. This is like time out like in New York for Tel Aviv. This is Tel Avivian. It's a specific blog for Tel Aviv by those young hipster women, I think. So just know that it's like specific. It's not a neutral source. And those are two guides that I found from people who are not Israelis. So the last one, like external perspective, so might be useful for you. And then other sources are us. So you should talk with us and ask us according to what's interesting for you. So last time we had a fellow that was interested like in nightlife and specific parties, and then we had a fellow that was interested in traveling to more like religious places. So each one has its own interest, but we can't put everything here because that's exhausting. So just ask us. Good. I'm gonna stop for questions. Someone must have a question. Thank you.
Can we know about like when are other people going so we might like live to that?
Good question. Yes. So once we will have I hope we will have it soon. Once you know the dates, please share them with us, and we will put them in the same place and have it available for you. We are going to publish like a contact list with names and dates and phone numbers for everyone, like after May 15th, when everyone will submit their contact form. But please start talking now and group. I'm going to talk about it, but group for accommodations and sharing apartments and stuff. Any more questions? Sue.
So for the visa, visitor visa, probably not mention we're going to do.
You can say that you're gonna do like an interview, but you need to emphasize that it's unpaid. Okay. You're not employees. You're not like paying social security, whatever. I don't know, like
income tax.
you don't pay like you're not under employment law or something. you're visiting and you're volunteering, and that's fine.
So unpaid job is still applying for their visa.
Yes, it's like a volunteering.
Okay.
Don't call it a job, but volunteering in a company for an internship.
So it's better to have the offer or your introduction.
So we're gonna have a background letter about the program, and we're gonna talk. I mean, it should be fine. Last year it wasn't a problem. We talked with the consulate people there, and like, it should be fine. But if you have the offer, you can also show it. But the offer seems probably like a job, so you don't need this.
Thank you.
More questions about anything we talked until now? Do you still have, like, if it's boring and you know everything, you can go, like always. Okay?
I have a question.
Or how do you want to go?
I need to.
Just go down to raise your hand.
No. I need to update my passport because it's not. It needs to be 6 months.
Good
beyond
point.
it, yeah.
So Jack is reminding us that in order to get the visa, it needs to be, you have to have it, like the expiration date at least 6 months after you return from Israel or something.
Yeah, but I'm saying I myself.
Yes, yes.
Because
I just used it, yes.
so is that going to be a problem?
You need to renew your passport. Can you do it here?
Yes, but
It takes a lot of
has
time.
that happened before?
Any of the, how do you renew, like
You need to go to the Chinese
yeah, you need to
consulate
go
on
to Chinese.
48th and 12th and renew it there, and then go to the Israeli consulate.
Okay.
Anyone
It's
done
on
it
the
before?
west side, it's really easy.
Hi, welcome. Just feel free to eat and join us and ask questions. Good. So now, all of this was the things you need to do before, including, like, the last thing was just to read about prep material, and now we're going to talk about doing. So imagine a plot, you can close your eyes or not, but imagine you just landed from the airplane. The airport looks like any other airport in the world. And you get your rights. Like nothing special.
Yeah, no, it's pretty beautiful.
It's pretty beautiful. Have you been to Jordan? They
Not
have
yet.
a beautiful airport. Anyway, you take your luggage, it arrived, everything okay, and then you go out of the airport, and then what do you do? Okay? So, before we're going to talk about transportation, we have this emergency point. It's just, like, just know this. And now we're going to talk about this point about the security situation. So what Minkai started to say
Wait,
before.
first of all, from every phone in Israel, if anything happens to you, you call 100. That goes straight to the police, and that's like 911. Our 911, we separated into 3. There's like ambulance. You should know police and ambulance. That's enough for you. 100 is police. 101 is ambulance. That's all you need to know. You dial it from any phone, and it will ring. Okay.
And then security situation in Israel. So there are many things that are routine that seems weird in terms of security for people that are not Israelis, but they are part of our routine. So Minkai started to say about those very rigorous checks when you go into every place. So even in the airport, like you will see many people that are like security guards, and they might ask you like to show your bags, they might ask you to show your ID. So this doesn't mean anything is wrong. It's just like this. You all know that Israel is like in the middle of a conflict. So people are extra cautious about security issues. And it just means that there are many security people around. Most of them are like, it was us like a minute ago. So they're nice and they're like, shouldn't be like intimidated by them.
Sometimes they can sound a little bit inquisitive and demanding, but it's how they're trying to do so. It doesn't mean that they don't like you or they're trying to make trouble. Just answer what they ask and you'll be fine.
Right, it's totally normal to be asked to, I mean, if the person looks like a homeless, don't show them your bag. But if a person looks like he has a formal like security person, has uniform and badge and everything, just like don't get like freaked out of this. It's totally normal. This is also true for soldiers with weapons, like weapons. Maybe you can you open a picture or something?
They're not
Don't freak out if you see a random guy or a girl with regular clothes and a pretty large gun on them.
No, but it sounds bad, but...
Wait, I think we need to take a step back. All of the Israelis here were once soldiers, okay? We all wore uniform, we all had the matching shirts and pants that were green.
Back. Military service is mandatory in Israel.
Yes,
so
it's mandatory in Israel.
Everyone who is 18 is going to the army, that means there are many soldiers.
Exactly. So, since everyone between the ages, or most people between the ages of 18 and 21 are soldiers, that means that a lot of people are going to be wearing uniform. Uniform is not something that is new, it's not something that is weird, it's not something that is indicative of terror or anything, emergency, anything. It just means that there are people living there that are between the ages of 18 and 21.
What is indicative of an emergency situation? If you hear the alarm, this is an emergency. Unless you see everyone like calm and then it's a rehearsal. How do you call it? Drill? Rehearsal.
You'll probably be notified if it's a drill, like by your bosses.
So every like couple of months there is a drill, and then everyone says like tomorrow at 11 there's going to be an alarm. It's just a drill, and your boss will tell you.
And that doesn't happen very often.
But if the boss didn't tell you that there is a drill and you do hear the alarm, it might be a situation, and then
follow other people's movements.
Yes, and then do what everyone else does.
Now, just one more thing about the guns. Soldiers sometimes have guns with them. It's because it's their personal guns and it's not because they're in the middle of a fighting situation, in the same way that your parents take their personal computer that they receive from the workplace home. Soldiers sometimes take the personal weapons home and then come back to the base whenever they need to go back to the base. So it's very normal, it's not loaded, it's not dangerous, and the people who hold the gun know how to operate it perfectly, so don't worry about that either.
It's like much less than Penn Station.
Much less than Penn Station. Here we go.
You wanted to add something, Ben?
No, that was it.
That was it? Okay. Any questions about like this, what to expect, how it looks, any of your experience? Yes, Henry?
One thing I want to add is that all the shopping malls, they have bag checks in front of them. So just give your bags to the guy in front of shopping malls. It's kind of a joke sometimes.
Right, but you do it.
Yeah.
You get used to it really quickly because you don't have much.
Think about the security check for Chinese stuff.
And another point that Henry was experiencing is about leaving your bag without attendance. So one reason is just you don't want to, you don't want anyone to steal your bag. But another reason is that it used to be a thing that there are like suspicious bags that are bombs. So if you leave your bag without attendance, people might think it's a bomb, and then they might like report it, and there would be a mess, and someone will like control bomb your bag.
Just like in the airport. Just like in the airport, you're not allowed to leave your bag alone.
Just don't leave your
bag destroyed.
bags
All of these announcements.
I mean, in the office or something, it's fine. Just not like on public places.
Yeah.
And also, you don't want to like someone to take your bag. You need to watch your stuff. Anything else about security? Questions or comments? Yes. Tell me your name. What's your name?
Catherine.
Catherine. Yes. Okay. You want to ask something?
No, it wasn't.
But you're not relaxed about this.
I was just gonna be
Could I,
Yeah, go ahead.
if you end up somehow renting a car and deciding to drive around Israel, just ask an Israeli before you put an address in the Waze, because the Waze doesn't understand the security of Israel, and sometimes it'll take you through areas which are kind of controversial. So just make sure you know the route that you're going to drive, and an Israeli has told you it's a fine route. And those are generally routes outside of Tel Aviv, far away, if you're going to go visit north or south.
So I'll take what Ben says and expand it. You want to expand it?
Yes,
Go
I'm
ahead.
thinking about renting a car. The best frame in Israel is Roma 6.
So I will take what Ben said, I will take what Ben said. And just to say that everything we're saying, everything we're talking about, and like the experience we're describing are good for Tel Aviv and like the main cities. There are places in Israel that are more dangerous, that are really dangerous. So that's like when you every time you go out of the main cities, you just need to make sure not accidentally end up with like a more dangerous place like Gaza. Okay.
Also, in Tel Aviv, police officers are really friendly and really nice. So
Everyone, not only police officers.
okay, I'm talking about security in that sense. So if you ever get lost or confused, you see someone with blue uniform, even green like army uniform, you can go and ask.
Yeah, talk to soldiers. They're teenagers. They're very cool. They'll help
And
you
have
out.
free time.
Yeah, feel free to talk to anyone. No one's gonna look down on anyone.
And if you do rent a car and you do end up in a place that feels like not the safest, go look for the soldiers. They're like the most friendly and secure.
And call your
thing you can
CIC
do.
contact person. That you will have a list here. Thank you. You will have a list, and you can always call us and ask us, where am I, what to do. Right?
Do you mind that you need to be at least 21 years old to rent a car in Israel?
Really? Really? I didn't know that.
That's true.
He just checked.
I just checked, and I also heard
It's almost
Maybe Shlomo 6 can get you
so
like down the size, reduce the size, and age. Transportation. So you want to talk about yourself? I mean, you don't need to read this. I assume you all read it, and you're fine. You should know that there is no subway. The train is very limited. It does get to the airport, so you can use the train. When you get out of the luggage place, you can take the train to the center of Tel Aviv. This is very convenient. I just did it like 2 weeks ago. It's really nice. It costs like 18 shekels, which is like
$6.
$6. Thank you.
And also, there will be no train on
Shabbat.
Yeah, so do you play your
trains,
flight
no
accordingly?
buses.
Right, so Shabbat, Saturday, is the holy day in Israel, and it means that some of the stores and the office, all the offices, some of the stores will be closed, and that means that there are no public transportation like in all the other days. So you need to plan in advance. Go.
And it starts basically at Saturday night. That's where all of these things stop working.
No,
Friday night. Sorry, Friday night. I meant to say
So
Friday.
Friday afternoon until Saturday night, there is no public transportation. Just need to plan it. There is great bicycles rent and like. You want to talk about Moniachot?
I want to divide the transportation mainly in Tel Aviv into three. So the trains, there is the train app. You should download it. It's the most accurate. It mainly stops at the main cities in Israel, but the stations themselves are not really fairly close to the center of the city. So it will take another bus. So that's train. Buses, as you guys said, don't work on Shabbat, so plan accordingly. And the third kind of category is minibuses. Those are private. They're operated privately, so they work not 24/7, but they work up to 4 a.m. and then you can take it. Get to Tel Aviv, ask the people around. It's called minibuses, and there are few of them, few routes. They're really easy. You just stop it. You stop it there on the route. Raise your hand, and then they'll stop.
Just think about it like a VA, you pay in cash.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you don't order it in advance. You just stop them on the street.
And how did you get around transportation?
We train.
Except for your private driver that you had. No, you did have a private driver.
I mostly get by private drivers, but anyway, other than that, we mostly travel by trains for before Friday night, going to different places in Haifa and Jerusalem. And other than that, I think we go by bus sometimes. I think moving is very helpful for that. Yeah.
Something to note about the buses. So the buses don't stop at every station unless so at every seat there's going to be a red button. Look up the red button, and if you want to stop, press it.
It's like here, right? I think it's the same. I think here's the same.
Do people really take buses?
I take buses here. I love buses here.
There are two other things in regard to transportation. If you are going to live in Tel Aviv, so there are two new stuff sort of that could be very useful. The first one is called Autotel, which is like Zipcar. If you need a car for an hour or two, it's very easy to just download the app. It's called Autotel. That's very cool. And the other thing is just like city bikes over here, and it's called Telefon.
You have the links here.
Yes, so that's very
This is
useful, it's very
Telefon.
cheap, and it's all over Tel Aviv.
So you can click here. It's in English, so it should be easy. And those that, if I were you, I would use mainly the bikes. If it's not too like a bicycle. If it's not too hot, I think it's really nice. In the central places, there are like bicycle trails. And
What's nice about Tel Aviv is that it's a relatively flat city, so it's very easy to just bike all around. It's very popular, just like Beijing.
but then you need to bring like a shirt to exchange.
But above all, Shlomo's sick.
Good. So living tip and nightlife and food. We're just gonna do it freely. So you're gonna ask questions and we're gonna say our recommendations for like 2 minutes. We don't need this. I mean, you have here some recommendations that we gathered, but just what do you want to do? Like, what are you interested in doing? Those that are not Israelis.
Wait, what's the legal drinking age?
18. So they're interested.
I thought 16 for non-legal.
No. What?
16 for anything that's not distilled.
That's Germany.
No,
That's Germany.
That's what I read.
So other than drinking or like specific things, what are you interested in doing? What do you want to know? Just like
Tourism.
tourism, what? Like tours and like places to go? So I think in this thing, Israel is similar to New York, that there is no like a place that you must be like a central square or something. It's just walking around in different neighborhoods and like it's much smaller, so it's easier. But you just need to walk around between different neighborhoods and, you know, go with your stomach to interesting places.
In the city, but you can
In the city,
like,
yeah.
go out and travel in the north or in the desert. Like it's all amazing.
Jerusalem.
Probably go to the sea.
Good. So
With the bus.
yeah, so most of the touristic places in Israel do have good access in like with buses or trains. Dead Sea specifically, it's one of the like more difficult places to get to. So we are considering doing like combining this like an organized trip or something. It's not sure if we're gonna do it,
But we will have activities while in Israel, organized.
yeah, some of the places we will get together as a group.
Organized through, some of them will be organized through Hillel Columbia, and they will take you for free wherever they go. I'll send you a full
But we'll
list.
get to the event soon, so let's talk about that.
Then let's get to the events now.
Okay.
I will send you a list of all the possibilities. You will have to attend only one, I mean, as a requirement, whichever one you'd like to go to. However, you'll have a list of 6 to 8 or like something like that activities all over the country, and they will take you for free and feed you. So if you're interested in that, then you'll have a list, and yes.
Will that be on the weekends?
It will be at times that will be comfortable for the fellows.
Either
so that
evenings
will
or
be the
weekends.
weekends. Or evenings, because they know you work during the day.
What else do you want to know? What you're interested about? What do you want to see in
Go to
Israel?
the bars.
Nightlife? I can.
Oh.
So Tel Aviv nightlife is very welcoming yet extreme. So you have everything you have all the different kinds of music within like certain areas. So the Rothschild area is where all the like techno hipster places are, and then you have the Dizengoff area, which is more like, I don't know, refined and like elegant, I guess. And like what I'm trying to, no, you don't think so?
Just walk around and like.
Maybe it is compared to
Rothschild, probably. What I'm trying to say is that the nightlife in Tel Aviv is amazing. It's
Me'amem.
It's me'amem.
It's me'amem.
It's more than sababa, it's me'amem.
More than sababa.
Out of personal experience, it's better than Beijing and New York combined. So go and enjoy it. It's amazing, and they will love to have you there because we looked at you. So they'll like let you in. And yes.
Questions? What do you want to know? What are you looking to do?
Contacts work for free.
Okay, you can think about it. Yeah, please.
So
Sue.
the general work culture, that's like
Now we're going.
working overtime is a thing. or
Yes,
people just
okay.
live their life?
So Sue takes us to work culture tips. So I guess you read all this long text stuff. We're not gonna talk about it now, like repeat this, but what you generally need to know that there is a weird balance between working very hard, but having a lot of fun doing. So it looks like people are not working, but they are working. So that's one. Do we agree? Okay. So that's one thing that you need to like bear in mind that people are working very hard and working a lot, but they don't distinguish sharply between when they work and when they have fun. So it's all like a mix of informal conversations that are also work and fun, which means that it goes like beyond traditional, 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 office hours. You might be asked to work more, which is fine, but you can also say like, I prefer not to, and this is also fine. So, and I'll take this point to say that you should feel very comfortable to say everything, much more than how you talk here in the US and I guess in China as well. It's totally fine to say, I don't feel comfortable with this, I prefer not to do it, I wish I could do something else. Just be very honest and straightforward. This would be very appreciated. The worst thing that could happen is that you have all those things in your mind and you're like stressed about something, or you're having those conspiracy theories about something, and like you don't share it with your colleagues and they think everything is fine or don't know what to do with you, and then it's like at one point it's all like explodes or something.
Israelis are forward, they're direct, they're straightforward, you can see it in the room. This is how you should read.
Yeah, this is a good example for like how Israelis work in terms of like brainstorming meeting. It would be like I've prepared some points, but we're talking about whatever you want to talk about,
and she just cut me off, and that's fine.
Yes.
This is how it works.
No,
really, it's a good example, because you should be
and
very direct.
If the tone's kind of raised, don't get freaked. It's not
That's a
about
good
you.
sign. That's a good
how we
sign.
talk.
Means people are excited.
Yeah,
means people care about what they do. It's a good sign.
Volume is a measurement of excitement and enthusiasm, and not a measurement of anger.
Right.
And when people are screaming, they might be the happiest they've ever been, and not the angriest they've ever been. So keep that in mind.
And what you asked, I think you were expected to finish your work for the day.
Right. So I'll take Jonathan's point, and I would say in Israel, it's very much like deliverables oriented. And Mark is gone. Oh my God. It's very much deliverables oriented and not time oriented. So you will get a task, you need to finish it. If you do it in 5 minutes, that's great. You will get another one. But if it takes like longer, they don't care. You need to finish it. Like, okay. You should expect your I would say here. Each company, one of the conditions of their commitment form they sign with us is that you will have a mentor that will be like responsible for your tasks. In every company it's different. Some of them are great, some of them are less available, and you should be flexible with this, but you should have someone that you know that this is your go-to person in the company, and you should expect them to load you with more tasks than you can do, because that's what you're there for.
Yeah, but like with that being said, you should all feel free to communicate your genuine feelings about your work in the work environment with a mentor or like colleagues, because I think some smaller companies, they don't have that much experience like having an intern around, and they're also in the process of learning from the intern and like their interaction as well. So they will really appreciate your input in terms of determining what the intern has to contribute to the firm. So just like communicate whenever you
So I'll take this and even expand it. I think internship is not that popular. It's not a must like it is here, because we have the mandatory military service. So that's like most of us internship. So when we finish university, we just start working. So internship is not that common. So most of these companies, not only that are new companies and like startup and are only starting like everything, they also haven't had interns before. This means that you know more about what internship is supposed to be than them, and you should help them construct this together. So this is different in each company, but big, like it's okay that like your boss will meet you on the first day and will ask you, so what do you want to do? How this is supposed to work? And you should tell him or her like how it's supposed to work.
A big part also of Israeli culture is when your superior tells you something, then you don't have to take it, like you don't have to just take it and accept it and go do that thing. It's very acceptable to question his decision, not in terms of, I don't want to do that, but in terms of, do you think really that is the right thing to do? And he not only will, give you advice, but he'll also accept it and appreciate you more for it. Mm-hmm. So feel free to, question your boss and his decisions, and really, bring your own perspective into his decision making. He'll really appreciate it.
Good. any more things that were like weird to you, Henry and Kai and Nicole, like that was like surprise when you got to the office or at work? I know you're surprised of how nice like your boss was.
Very nice.
You want to tell this? Maybe more people will want to apply for Enjoy.
Yeah, I worked for Enjoy last summer, and my boss is an extremely nice person. He drove me to work every day, and he took me to the Dead Sea for a day trip. It was amazing. Basically, he was very friendly person. We talked a lot. Very humorous.
Also, but in terms of like the work environment, how was it with him or like with others? You can jump in.
Well, he was very busy, so that I think one important takeaway is that you need to be very active in your internships, so that you constantly have to know what you're going to do. If you see a project opening, you have to say that I want to do this, I want to take on this task. Your superior most times won't have time for you and look out for you constantly as in other internships.
Right.
And what were your hours? What were your hours?
My hours, I basically worked from just 9 to 3.
I think I
Or 9 to
worked.
4.
Yeah, I worked much longer than that. It was more like 9 to like 7 or 8.
Yeah, so it depends.
Yeah, it was more like. But like, yeah, I would say like definitely what Henry said, being proactive and just reaching out to people around you and having like a genuine interest in what they do, and maybe ask if you could join lunch with them or just like grasp every opportunity to talk to them about their like personal life and professional life, and learn not just from the actual assignment that you're doing, but just learn from being there and in that environment.
Good. Anything else about work culture? Anyone add anything?
It's like Israelis hate the checklist. So if you get like a task of things to do, don't expect like to stop there and come back to your boss, because he's just not going to be happy. So try to always like really improvise, go the extra mile, do your own thing, add your little taste of it. He'll just appreciate it more.
Yeah.
It's very not systematic in Israel. Try doing a bit extra.
Loon? Are you Loon?
Yeah.
You look confused.
No, we got it.
You have questions? Something? Yes, Jack?
So, I know like most companies will apply to our Israeli companies, but I'm not sure about like for example Guangxi or like the one I applied to Yafo. On their website they say they're like Chinese company's division in Israel. So do they follow the rules? Like,
I think it's going to be a mix.
For Guangxi, definitely, because the people there are Israeli or like very Jewish.
And also,
because like the guy who interviewed me is Chinese. So
I think it will depend. And I think there are some things that are like, being in Israel, like, imposed. So, like, I don't know. What?
Yeah, like, I heard a lot of examples of, so some Chinese coming to Israel and staying for a few years, and then they work exactly as Israelis do.
It's catchy.
It's catchy.
What? It's not how you say it?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Also, lunches are something you do together. So, you take a break with your fellow
Let's go to lunch.
co-workers.
Yalla. Sababa.
So yeah, it's like something to take a break. You go with a few co-workers. It's a hangout.
Anything else? Work culture? Maybe we'll open here like general culture in Israel. So everything we said about work culture is true also for like outside work in terms of being straightforward and feel comfortable to say what you think and what you want and be proactive. Other things that are like beyond, it's difficult to separate because, as I said at the beginning, it's all kind of mix. Most people who work together are also friends, and then they work together, and then they hang out together, and then like they spend a lot of time together. What?
I said marry each other.
Sometimes. So just like expect that the same casual and straightforward and fast-paced environment will also be beyond the office.
I highly recommend, we brought some Israeli food today, which is fine, but we didn't finish it. But I highly recommend you guys go eat hummus, go eat falafel, Go eat shawarma. Go
All the
eat,
Arabic food in Israel
Go
is
eat
delicious.
sabich. Go. I mean, you can eat Chinese. The Chinese food in Israel you'll find very quickly is not Chinese. It's Chinese food tailored for Israelis. So go eat Israeli food. It's great, and it's very different than what you're used to.
And food is a huge topic of conversation in Israel. Everyone's always asking and
It's
talking
like
about
here they talk about how
the Chinese
the
are
weather
better at
is,
that.
or like
They're better at
it
that.
is.
So take your natural skill and apply it to the Israeli context and ask about where is the best hummus, where is the best falafel, where is the coolest restaurant. Yeah.
So we will provide more information about events. Just expect that there are going to be events. There is one event that you will be required to do, but all the rest are for you to enjoy. And just know that the companies are going to fill, sorry, it's going to take a lot of minutes. Just know that the companies are going to fill like evaluation form on you twice, like in the middle of the internship and at the end of the internship. We're going to share this information with you, of course, but you should also ask them about this. Jack, you're not listening. You didn't know. You don't know what I'm saying. So, no, just know that you don't know. Yes, I'm not going to go into the after part. Just know that the main point about this is that your internship, your fellowship doesn't end when your internship ends. So you come back from Israel, you're still part of our club, you're still part of the fellowship, you still expected, like Henry and Nicole and Kai, to be part and like contribute with your experience. We will have a welcome back event and a briefing session and a feedback form we're going to send you, so just stay connected. It's much easier for us when you send us 10 emails a day, like some of you do, than for us to send you like looking for you, you're not answering the companies. So please help us. Be proactive also with us. Questions?
I have a question about the external funding opportunities. So like I'm wondering like how possible it is to get the actual funding. So like is it worth applying? Like there's a lot.
So some of them we know and some of them we don't know. So you can ask specifically and we'll tell you.
Yeah, like I think there's only one that's offered by like Columbia University. Yeah.
What, the IJ?
CCE.
Oh, CCE. I know some people who got it, so I think it's worth applying.
So if anybody is interested in the IIJS fellowship, feel free to talk to me.
I got it last year.
So it's, yeah.
And
But do be
Elaine
quick
also got
because
it
it's
last
due
year.
next Monday. Sorry for not telling you things.
Okay, yeah. No, we got the questions. Go.
No, it's not about the. Is there anyone who wants to come tomorrow to the museum event and did not respond to our email?
So who's coming to the out of the fellows here?
You should.
Out of everyone, who is coming tomorrow to the museum event? Just so we see. Okay, I'm gonna count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This table.
Whenever you come. Any more questions? Great. Please, before you go, each of you who is planning to go to Israel, talk with me directly, so I'll get to know you and I'll tell you all the problems each of you have with your stuff. Good. Please use this time now to eat more and talk with Henry, Nicole, and Kai, and all the Israelis here to get questions, to get tips.
Oh, and also